Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, July 27th, 2017. I'm Keith Tebow. On this week's show, we talk about some changes to Mayor Correa's financial team at Government Center. We provide reaction from local state lawmakers on the legislation concerning the marijuana law. And we also have details of a special mass shedding light on the opioid crisis that was held here in Fall River. But let's start out as we do each week by bringing in Will Richmond, the digital news editor of the Herald News, to talk about the headline issues of the week. Hey, Will, how are you?
I'm good, Keith. How's it going?
Good, thanks. Let's get right to what I mentioned was our top story this week, some changes in Mayor Correa's financial team. Let's talk, first of all, Will, about the fact that some of these positions that the mayor announced yesterday, were some of them unfilled? What was the status of some of those positions?
Well, some of it is it's a trickle-down effect, as the city auditor, Krishna Gupta, announced that he'd be leaving at the end of this week to take a position in Sharon, Massachusetts. So this kind of created, I think, some trickle-down of other positions. And, you know, one of the things that the mayor really promoted in his press conference was that these were all people that were being hired from within.
Right.
So, you know, they were moving up into new positions, filling that city auditor position without having to do an outside search.
Right.
And certainly the timing makes sense, given that the previous fiscal year has just come to an end. The budget is completed.
Right.
And, you know, makes for a smoother transition with that sort of heavy lifting done.
Right. FRC Media News was at the press conference yesterday. Let's hear some remarks from the mayor.
We have some exciting announcements about some personnel changes, and we have a couple messages that we want to promote about these exciting personnel changes. But before we talk about the personnel changes, we have an outgoing member of our wonderful financial team, Krishna Gupta, who's been our city auditor for a number of years. I've had the pleasure of working with Krishna on both the city council and as mayor, and I want to thank him for his years of service, and we wish him the best of luck. It's sad to see you go, but the city will continue to grow financially and be fiscally stable. So the contributions that Krishna has made to our financial team will not go unnoticed. As you've seen and have heard about our financial state with the financial team led by Mary, Kathy, Krishna, myself, and all of the different departments that we'll talk about today, such as the treasurer, collector, and city auditor, have really put Fall River in a stable fiscal position.
Well, I just want to thank Fall River citizens for giving me the opportunity to serve for the last 7 years almost. I want to thank my team, Jen and Ian especially, and Pauline, Nell, who worked with me all these years, and all the Herald departments. I couldn't have done my job without everybody's help. Kathy, Mary, everybody has been very, very supportive. Mayor has been very supportive. So, I mean, I done my job professionally. I'm very proud of my term here. What we achieved in the last 7 years with the help of everybody is a remarkable turnaround to some extent. So with that, I wish everybody all the best, and I wish City of Fall River all the best. Thank you very much.
We'll have more on this story a little bit later on in our newscast. Will, I want to shift gears now to election 2017, something that we know will dominate our conversations as we go through the late summer and into the fall. The nomination papers, the last day to take out nomination papers was last Friday. The day to have them returned was this past Tuesday. And we have a clear understanding now of what voters can expect in terms of who may be on the ballot in November, and also for the preliminary in September, as it looks like we will have definitely a preliminary election for mayor and possibly one for school committee, but not city council, correct?
Correct. There will definitely not be enough candidates who have even submitted nomination papers to make the ballot for a preliminary, so that will take that off of the September ballot. As you mentioned, there will definitely be one for mayor, and school committee appears to be headed that way, but that will be finalized in the next coming weeks as people file their certified nomination papers.
Now, in terms of candidates who have returned their nomination papers, not necessarily have filed them officially to become candidates, there are 5 candidates that have done so for the race for mayor. As you mentioned, there are 13 candidates for school committees. So, and if all those candidates file their papers, there will be a preliminary election to only eliminate one candidate, as 12 finalists will make it onto the November ballot. And as you mentioned, there's not enough candidates for city council who return their nomination papers to warrant a city council preliminary, as there are only 17 potential candidates that will automatically make it to the final. Is that, in terms of the numbers this year, Will, I know in years past we've had preliminaries in all three races. Is it surprising? What do you gauge from the level of interest, I guess, out there in people running for office?
Sure. I think certainly there's a little bit of a reversal in terms of interest in the races this year. In recent history, from my recollection, school committee has not been popular enough for preliminaries to be held on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So to see more candidates come out for that race is certainly interesting. It may have helped that 3 of the current incumbents declared pretty early that they would not be seeking to run for re-election in any manner. So it certainly paved the way for newcomers to kind of say, this is a good year for me to take a shot. That there are fewer people running for city council is a little bit of a surprise. That's been a popular race for people, for candidates in recent years. And there were certainly the 2 open slots that we knew of, with Linda Pereira and Richard Cabaceres for mayor, and even some incumbents who waited pretty late into the process to begin their nomination process. So, it's a little bit of a surprise, but certainly good to see more people coming out for the school committee. And, if even without the preliminary, there'll still be a pretty healthy campaign process for city council in heading towards November.
All right, and Will, finally, before I let you go, next week will be the 125th anniversary of the Borden murders here in the city of Fall River, Lizzie Borden, and the aspects of that trial. And I know the Herald is doing something special to commemorate the anniversary. Talk about it for a minute.
Sure. We've established a sort of scavenger hunt in the 10 city parks. You can find a photo of Lizzie hanging up somewhere in those parks. They're all meant to be in pretty noticeable areas, so there's no need to turn over rocks or rip through bushes or anything. And basically the idea is that you take a photo of it, a selfie with the photo in the background, and hashtag it #IFoundLizzie. And for the person who finds the most, if there's a tie, then we will certainly we'll hold some sort of raffle to kind of determine the winner, but there'll be prizes at the end. And, just looking at this as a way to hopefully get people out into some of the city parks and explore the city a little bit as well.
Right, and the deadline for this, I believe, is the end of next week, August 6th is the deadline?
August 6th, so we'll go right through the weekend that follows the 125th anniversary.
Sounds good. All right, Will, what else is coming up at the paper over the next few days?
Well, speaking of Lizzie, we'll have a pretty big spread on Sunday's paper ahead of the anniversary, including a story that looks at how the Fall River Police Department would handle a similar murder if it were to happen today and they were investigating the death of Lizzie Borden's parents. So a little bit of CSI meets the history of Lizzie.
Sounds good. All right, Will, thanks for checking in. We'll talk again next week.
All right, have a good weekend, Keith.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Fall River Career Center. Maintenance Technician. Landings Real Estate Group, located at 4980 North Main Street, is seeking a full-time maintenance technician responsible for performing various maintenance functions and repairs to a resident apartment facility. Job number 928-1392. Prep Cook. The Fall River Grill, located at 363 2nd Street, is in need of a full-time prep cook with experience as a dishwasher and food prep person. Must be reliable and able to work as a team. Job number 930-6051. Psychiatric Nurse Practitioner. Oleski Associates is looking for an experienced full-time psychiatric nurse practitioner to work in an outpatient facility in Fall River, which provides integrated behavioral health care to patients with addiction and co-occurring psychiatric conditions. Job number 930-9174. People Incorporated, located at 4 South Main Street, is looking to fulfill the following full-time positions. Assistant Vocational Director, job number 929-3258. Lead Case Manager, job number 929-3254. The Fall River Public School Department, located at 417 Rock Street, is looking to fulfill the following full-time positions for the 2017 and 2018 school year. Grade 2 Teacher, job number 929-5230. Technology Teacher, job number 929-5221. For more information on these or other positions, visit FRCmedianews.org or call the Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. We spoke earlier of the new titles given to employees at Fall River Government Center this week. Here's more from those appointed during this week's news conference.
I thank the mayor for the opportunity to continue in the treasurer's position. I look forward to working with Ian and Nell and, oh my God, Jen. We've been a great team for the past few years. I have every confidence they're going to do well. I'm willing to assist in any way, since I feel like I'm a veteran of this team right now. And I just thank the mayor for this opportunity, working with Mary and Kathy. And thanks, Krishan, for everything. We appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. Just want to say I'm honored to accept this position, and thank you, Mayor, for this opportunity. We have a really good staff downstairs. They're all loyal and dedicated and very smart and capable, and I know we're going to run this office smoothly, and taxpayers are all going to be treated fairly and equally and given the highest possible level of customer service. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All set. Next, fresh off a vacation from Portugal, I think she got the call about the decision the moment she landed at the airport, and that's Nalia Oliveira, who will be moving into the interim assistant collector role. And she is extremely excited, is what I was told by Madeline. So we're very, very proud of the decision, very happy. So Nalia, I know you didn't want to say too much, but if you just want to come up so people can see who you are.
Well, I just want to thank the mayor for the opportunity, and I will do my best.
It's been a privilege to work for Christian for the last 5 years, and what I have learned from him, I feel I am prepared and ready to take this great opportunity. I'm very grateful. And that's it. Thank you.
Although some local politicians were against the passage of a ballot question in 2016 that would allow the recreational use of marijuana, voters said yes. And as a result, the Massachusetts House and Senate went to work hammering out details on how to regulate the newly implemented state law. Recently, both branches agreed on a compromise bill that's now awaiting final approval by Governor Charlie Baker. His reaction from our local delegation.
There are a number of components that we felt really needed some tweaking. For instance, the tax rate. For instance, local control and local governance. For instance, driving under the influence and public safety. For instance, the marketing of consumables, edibles to minors, all needed to have more teeth in the law than what was passed by the voters. We sent the compromise bill to the governor, and we're very happy with it. We feel that Massachusetts has the model law for the country when it comes to marijuana.
I know you've been against it. What is your biggest victory, so to speak, in the compromise?
I was opposed to the ballot initiative, but I don't live in the past. It passed by the voters. I respect the will of the voters. So my biggest victory is the fact that we did respect the will of the voters, that it is legal to purchase and consume marijuana recreationally, but I'm very happy that we thought about public health and public safety as we move forward.
I'm happy about the compromise. It was long, tedious, but complex, and it has to be, because there are so many moving parts. There are inspectors. There are all of these places that retail will have to be inspected. Everyone that growing will take place here in the Commonwealth, so they have to be. The chemicals have to be so there's a huge cost associated with cannabis and marijuana retail. Anyone who thought that this was a simple process and why can't they do this right away? Well, nothing works right away because it's so complex. So I'm glad we took the time. I'm glad we've reached a consensus. I'm glad we have a tax that is reasonable. We're not the lowest. We're second from the bottom in all of the states that have tax. Colorado's just upped their tax. So we are certainly not Taxachusetts for marijuana, that's for sure. I think that it'll be amended in the future. My biggest concern, edibles. My biggest concern is keeping edibles not attractive and that our children are safe. Because we saw what happened in other states with increased visits to the emergency room for overdose of edibles. You know, people have a candy that's laced with THC. There's no immediate effect. They want an immediate effect. And what happens is, unfortunately, is that they take 2 or 3, 2 cookies, 3 cookies, 2 brownies, and they're in the hospital overdosing. And the other concern is taxpayer paying for that. Because, you know, Mass Health is going to, those people who are going to the hospital, someone's going to pick up the tab, and it's going to be the taxpayer. So here we are concerned about our rising health care costs, and our health care costs are going to rise some more because of this. So a lot of concerns, more concerned right now about children and how we ensure that we're not advertising at them.
One of the things that was important to me was how we resolve the advertising and promotion. You've got edibles, you've got a lot of product that can be very tempting to people under 21 and the young people. It's that 85% of the audience for any advertising vehicle must be documented that their audience is 21 or over. So if it was the kids channel, if it was a Cartoon Network, obviously the demographics would show that's under 21. They could not advertise on that. But something that has an audience that's over 21, they could use that. It has to be 85% of their audience has to be over 21. So what would that eliminate? Billboards. Billboards, you drive by them. There could be children in the car, of course, and we can't. So that would be eliminating.
Now, how about like the Fall River Herald News or a newspaper?
Well, if the Fall River Herald News has documentation of their audience, I'm going to tell you I'm certain that their audience is over 21, but the numbers have to demonstrate that. Then the retailers could, in fact, use that as an advertising vehicle because 85% of the Herald News' audience is over 21.
As we mentioned earlier as well, the deadline to take out and return nomination papers for a chance to run in Fall River's election this fall is passed. Board of Elections Chairwoman Liz Camara explains the next step in the election process.
Those papers will be what we certify, is certifying their names. There'll be one more step after that. They're going to have to come back to file those papers with us, provided they have enough signatures. Each office requires 50, and the deadline to file is August 8th. What they'll do is come back in, sign the back of their papers, and they're on the ballot once they do that.
Now, how about if somebody cannot be present on the day of election?
They can vote absentee, and the requirements is if they're not able to get out of the house, or they're on vacation, or where they work is outside of Fall River, and they won't be here the hours that the polls are open. So those are the 3, or religious beliefs, that they can come in and vote absentee, or call us for an application, and we'll do it through the mail.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Today we have Gunnar. He's a 6-year-old male pit bull terrier mix, and he arrived at our shelter early this year in July. He was an owner surrender, but he's such a loving boy. He's a ham. He's just a big love bug, and he likes to play, and he likes to play with other dogs, so he's good with other dogs. He just loves attention. big time Lowe's attention. If you'd like to come down and see him, we're at 300 Linwood Street, Fall River, Mass, and we're open every day except for Wednesday, 11 to 4 o'clock.
So today we have Bud. Bud right here is a buff 3-year-old. He came to us through New Bedford. They had found him and his brother, who we also had. He's luckily been adopted since, basically living in a field. I wouldn't go so far as to say he's a feral cat. He certainly doesn't behave like it. He is a little bit shy though. You can probably tell. He's kind of hiding himself right now. Very good cat though. Well, there is a little caveat though. He does have a galloping heart rate, which means his heart rate is very quick, very quick. He'd probably do best in a house, consequently, because of this, in a house that's very calm, either with no children or very well behaved children. You know, give him his space, make sure they're not jumping all over him, that sort of thing. But he's a very nice cat, but he likes to hide. There he is. Oh, he's gonna go get a snack. So if you want to come meet Bud, you can come on down to Forever Paws Animal Shelter. We're located at 300 Linwood Street here in Fall River, Massachusetts.
A special mass was held at St. Anne's Shrine in Fall River this week. The purpose was twofold: to observe the church's feast of St. Joaquin and Anne, and to provide spiritual support to those suffering or have died from opioid addiction. Bishop Edgar de Cunha blessed and dedicated a statue of the 19th century Chinese martyr who spent most of his adult life trying to overcome an addiction to opium. The fiberglass statue stands in a special area of the shrine for those visitors to pray for those who, like the saint, struggled with or died from drug addiction. The statue was made by local sculptor Eric Durant, who coordinates the Fine Arts program at Bristol Community College. Private donations were collected to cover the cost of producing the statue. That'll do it for this edition of FRC Media News. You can catch FRC Media News Thursdays and Fridays at 6 p.m. and online at our website, frcmedianews.org. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Thursday.